We kicking it. We kicking it. This is the No Edit podcast where I talk, I play music, we have a good time. I'm going to keep it up into story time like I did last time. I'm going to just say time a few more times to get it out of my system. Time. All right, let's get into it. What I want to talk about today is how I got into playing music. Some of these are going to be very relatable anecdotes for yourself. Others may be a little bit less, but I want to talk about it because I want people to realize the current state that you see human beings is not actually where they started. So you'll see someone and they'll be like super jacked, right? They got massive biceps. It's like, oh yeah. And you're like, oh man, how'd they get there? They don't even know. Do you know why? Because they now are used to having big biceps. They now exist in that world of big biceps. So you would somehow have to figure out a way to figure out what they used to do when they didn't have big biceps to get big biceps. Are you following me? It's a little convoluted, but believe me, it does make sense. So, I know I just basically told you that you shouldn't listen to anything I'm gonna say, but I'm still gonna say it, and hopefully you'll relate to it, you'll resonate with it, and if you pick up any little tidbits, you're welcome. I'm gonna do more in-depth videos that have more specific tidbits. Like after this, I'm gonna record a video of me practically going through sight reading. So if you like information, if you like stories, if you like the vibes, just go ahead, follow, leave a comment. I love the comments. It makes me feel so good. It makes me feel like, hey, I'm actually talking to somebody, so please leave a comment. All right, let's get into this. I started kind of the normal way that I think a lot of people started my age. If you're younger than me, this might not be your experience. But I had piano lessons starting at 7. It was not my choice. It was mandatory. It was part of my schooling. If I did not do it, I would get in a lot of trouble with my parents. This, I think, is a pretty common thing for people my age. A couple things maybe that are less common. I am the youngest of 5, so we'd be at my piano teacher's house like literally like 4.5, 5 hours. And the piano teacher was a classical teacher, but she really prioritized hard songs. And I'm kind of glad that I did not stick around too long at her, because I honestly think she was doing a lot of stuff poorly, but that's a subject for a different video. After that, I kind of just went along the typical classical piano route, learning harder and harder songs, learning scales, learning all the different classical things. But then my brothers started discovering rock and roll. Well, I mean, they already knew rock and roll, but they decided that they wanted to play rock and roll. So I had to learn how to keep up with them. And the thing about piano is, it's not like guitar where you just sit down and the first thing people show you is some blues, and then you learn some pentatonics and you're good to go. That's not the way piano works. You learn these major scales, and then your brothers go, hey, we're playing a blues. Can you solo on it? And you go. And then they throw you out of the garage. So I had to learn how to hang with people playing pop music, blues, rock and roll, all that. Well, back then, and I'm saying like back then like it was forever ago, we're talking 2000, right? You did not really have access to rock teachers or pop teachers. Those did not really exist. A little bit in guitar, but not really. So what was I supposed to do? Well, there's this thing called jazz, and there were jazz teachers. So, and one thing that jazz people know how to do is improvise. So I thought, hey, let's get some jazz lessons. So I just started taking some jazz. It opened me up to the idea of chords and understanding how chords work and getting a better concept of theory. I was already into writing music at that point. And the chords really gave me the ability to play along with other people. So I started playing in bands, doing all that thing. And then I was super into composition. But here was my problem. I did not know where to go next because my parents are not in music at all. So what was there to do next? Well, they knew college. So I went, okay, let's go to college. Well, I applied for piano performance. Why did I apply for piano performance? I love to write music. I love to play rock music. I love like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Dream Theater, you know. Crazy progressive rock stuff like that, right? Well, here's the thing. My parents just knew college. That's what they knew. So what was I to do but to go to college? And I applied in piano performance. And a lot of the reason why I applied in piano performance is because a bunch of people told me I couldn't do it. They were like, no, you're not good enough. You kind of suck at classical, so sorry, too bad. Well, I was like, I'll show you. So I got into piano performance. Now, this is where I think the magic really started to happen. And it's honestly, that doesn't make any sense. In honesty, part of a negative character trait that I have, or defense mechanism if I'm being a little more nice to myself. And that is, I like to feel like I'm good at stuff. And as I just said, you notice I was talking about wanting to be good and prove to people that I could be good at piano performance even though they told me I couldn't. So when I got to college, I learned something. I have really wide interests. I generally can understand rationally how things work. So why don't I play with everyone? And I know enough about all the different genres and know all about the chords from all my jazz and classical and all that. And that is what I did. I played with reggae bands, I played with the funk bands, I played with the Latin bands, I did jazz in the jazz department, I did classical in the classical department, I accompanied, everything you can imagine. I kind of stumbled into it, but this is brilliant. And this, if you wanted a tidbit, this is the tidbit. Do not become a purist. Just don't. It is the worst thing you can do unless you're just willing to be better than every other human being ever. If you are willing to be the best classical pianist in the world, well, go for it. That's great. Somebody's got to do it. If not, just dabble. Get into everything. Guess what? You're going to be better at all the different types of music because they'll all translate and help each other. And then at the same time, now you've got job security. Why am I saying that? Because there are so many people that need somebody who's pretty good. Not necessarily the best, but pretty good at a bunch of different genres. This was kind of my journey. I started out classical, didn't want to do it at first, had to be bribed to play piano, then got into jazz to learn rock and roll, and then went to school for classical, mostly to tell people to piss off, and then I got into every genre of music from there as a defense mechanism to feel like I could hang and that I was valuable because, let's face it, I was never going to be top dog at classical at a university. I mean, again, only one person really is. All right, let's give a little improv tidbit to end this. It's something I was doing on the previous episodes. I want to bring it back. Here's my improv tidbit. if you're just making up a chord progression, think about what you can pull in from the minor. So we're in A major. What if we go to the minor 4 instead? Then we go to the flat 6. Then we go flat 3. And then back to the major 1. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. And until next time, I'm Robert Monroe, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.